his friends and well-wishers, but we may not have the same thing. We thank you all very much, distinguished guests and gentlemen. We're also expecting the arrival of the chairman of the occasion, the Deputy Governor of Imo State, with the Karacha.
Walking alongside us this morning in the person of Lady Her Privileges Hannatu. Hannatu, please come out for something louder for Dr. Babangida. Of course, his eminence is here.
Just go enter.
At this moment, may I crave your indulgence to come back in the Vision House at this moment. May I come out? Sarkim Musulmi. Of course. We have an easy going servant of God.
Most distinguished guests.
Crave the indulgence of two people to stand up.
Excuse me, Chairman. What do you cost like that too?
At the same time for a special recognition, even though Nigeria has refused to get divided on the basis of religious difference. This morning, for you to know the foundation we are enjoying in Nigeria as regards peaceful coexistence as well as religious tolerance, we have two major players. May I, at this moment, crave the indulgence of this most simple-minded person I have ever met in my life. The Cardinal, to please stand up. Please put your hands together for the Cardinal. Now, this man is representing God and his angels on earth. May I also, at this moment, crave the indulgence of His Eminence, the Sultan, to please stand up for recognition. Collectively, I believe you can do better than this. Something louder for our
to lead us in prayers in Islam. Please let's put our hands together to welcome them all to this.
And we ask the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, to take perfect care of every situation today. As we provide special recognition to people who have shown leadership, continue to help them to inspire many other people across this nation and all over the world. That they will lay solid foundation that will help in transforming and building Nigeria for the better in the near future in the name of Jesus. Thank you, Father, for our prayer, for we are assured in our spirit that we are capable of doing immeasurable much more than we can ever see, much more than we can ever imagine, to the glory, honor, adoration, power, and dominion, not just now but forever. Amen.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين ولا we thank you. We are very grateful to you. You are the one that have made us a country that we have known two of the styles in the world. That you have made us a Nigerian where we have almost 50-50 in Muslims and in Christians, where no country in the world can boast of that. Oh Allah, we did not know that before we are Nigerian. It is by your design. You are the one that has put us here. Continue to guide and support us. Our fathers who have been honored today, because they are doing the work of God, oh Allah, continue to support them. Continue to be with them. Continue to guide them and all those who follow in their suit. ربنا عليك توكلنا وعليك أنبنا وعليك المصير سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Ibrahim Sulu Gambari, please put your hands together for him. We have His Royal Highness the Emir of Gombe, Alhaji Shehu Abubakar, the Emir of Argungu, Alhaji Samaki Amera, Emir of Ankara, His Royal Highness Alhaji Atahir, the Emir of Jama'ah, Alhaji Isa Muhammad, one of the youngest emirs in the history of Africa. We have His Royal Highness Agent of Ankara. We have His Royal Highness the Emir of Suleja, Alhaji Awal Ibrahim.
One of our Star Award recipients, His Excellency.
I'd like to invite the chairman of the Institute, Simon Dyer, to give a welcome address and welcome all of you to this great event. Mr. Sam is a man that I know is a very important and significant figure in Mr. Simon Dyer. I do something that maybe
it's okay. Take a position. Take a position. Take your shot. See them encroaching. I don't know how they behave.
See this man again.
No, you want to correct such a person. You want to correct him. Is he a child?
See this one.
You don't know what is the rules of camera operation.
Guest speaker, His Excellency, the Governor of Niger State, my own chief servant. Eminences, the Sultan of Sokoto, Sultan Abubakar, the John and John Cardinal Unaiko, our persons of the year, Your Royal Highness, the Shehu of Borno, Your Royal Highness, the Emir of Ilorin, Your Royal Highness, the Emir. process of choosing winners for the various categories by our editors has always been rigorous and painstaking, with debates, discussions, and casting of votes. This year's selection was even more so. Our point of discussion this year is rebuilding our nation, Nigeria. And we have the chief servant of Niger State to do justice to it. Our aim is to start changing the narrative about our country. But we're also aware that you cannot start talking about rebuilding with the current high level of looting, corruption, terrorism, and assorted crimes, as we have been witnessing in this country. But maybe shifting the discussion may help us as a nation to quickly get over these stumbling blocks to our progress. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to decisively end the type of corruption we hear about daily and competently end the terrorism that has taken over our land. It is time to start the process of rebuilding our nation in earnest. The world is not waiting for us at all. There's too much blood in the land, and that has to stop. But it is clearly a responsibility of the government, because there are some things in a nation that only government can do. We therefore call on the governments of this country at all levels to take charge and start doing the work for which they were elected to do. There is no time, and there should be no excuses. I welcome you all once more to this gathering and hope that we shall all enjoy ourselves. Thank you very much. May God bless Nigeria.
Okorocha, the Executive Governor of Imo State. Thank you for coming, sir. I'd also like to recognise the presence of the Gambia High Commission. From the Gambia High Commission, Her Excellency Angela B. Kohli-Iheme, High Commissioner Ambassador. Thank you for coming. I'd also like to recognise the Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia, Sudiram Hassank. Thank you for coming. I'd also further like to announce the presence of Professor Umar Farouk Jibrin, Commissioner, Information of Kano State, representing the Governor of Kano State. Thank you for coming. I'm actually very, very pleased to have a chance to introduce the next personality on stage. He's actually I understand that he's one of the most endearing public officers that we have in this day and age, and he's a politician whose popularity transcends every border in Nigeria. Apparently, if I speak to him in Hausa, he'll be able to speak back to me in Hausa. If I speak to him in English, he'll be able to speak back to me in English, and that is a very, very good and endearing quality for any Nigerian leader in this day and age to have. He has a great understanding of the need for a unified Nigeria and an appreciation of what it truly means to be a Nigerian. That is a very rare but necessary quality this day. And apparently he's just a very fascinating person. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming the Chairman of the Leadership Annual Conference and Award Ceremony 2013, Owene Rochas Okorocha. A big round of applause, please.
Your Excellencies, my brother governors, the guest speaker of this great occasion, Abaida Aliu, my Governor Afadu, the publisher and the chairman of this great newspaper, Mr. Sun, the awardees here present, His Royal His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, my spiritual managing director and my cardinal, my other Catholic priests here also, and bishops here including us nation. Ladies and gentlemen, please permit me
if protocols have not been properly observed. First, let me congratulate the publisher, Mr. Sun, for many years of creating the necessary awareness for this nation, and of course choosing today as a day to discuss this topical issue of corruption and rebuilding our nation and leadership. And no wonder the UN newspaper is called the leadership newspaper. And if there's any paper I love to read, it's leadership. Because the problem of our nation, the problem of our state, the problem of our local government, the problem of our companies lies on leadership. So leadership is everything. I want to say to the publisher that today that we have a great speaker, Babangida Aliyu, who will be talking on this topical issue. I hope he will do justice to it and create awareness for the urgency of now for this nation to begin to address the leadership question at all levels. I often say to most people that Nigeria's problem is that Nigeria does not even understand its problem. And the problem of Nigeria simply lies on leadership, be it at whatever level. And if a nation is not doing well, a state is not doing well, a local government is not doing well, a company is not doing well, hold the leadership responsible. It has nothing to do with the followers. Leadership simply means ability to lead the people. And if people have subscribed to you as their leader, the enormous task remains on you to show the light. Leaders must know how to show the light. And that's why the newspaper today, Leadership, is indeed the ideal newspaper for this nation. I want to quickly say to all of us that most often than not, we have not been able to differentiate between leadership and politicians. Most of the time, we have politicians who are not leaders. Therefore, it's not every politician that is a leader. And let us stop making the mistake by thinking that every politician is a leader or every politician that is a governor is indeed a leader. Politicians are not leaders. Politicians are those group of people who are thinking about the next election, while leaders are those who are thinking about the future of the next generation. Politicians are not leaders because politicians are those group of people who have ambition, while leaders are those who have vision. Therefore, not every politician is indeed a leader. Politicians are not leaders because politicians are those who discuss sentiments of tribe, where they come from and their religion, while leaders discuss issues. Politicians discuss sentiments. Politicians are not leaders because the politicians are myopic and do not see beyond what happens around them, but leaders see tomorrow. Politicians are not leaders because the politician's program is about self-aggrandizement and primitive accumulation of wealth. Leaders are those who make sacrifice so that it might be wealth for the generation and generations yet to come. Politicians indeed are not leaders because for politicians, they are preoccupied with what they can get out of a particular system, while leaders think about what they can give to the system. Politicians are not leaders. And therefore we want to say to all of us that there's nothing wrong with the head of the state, but there could be something wrong with the state of the head. Therefore, every politician must have vision. Vision is the property of every leader. And my Bible tells me that where there's no vision, the people perish. It does not say where there's no money, the people perish. It didn't say where there is corruption, the people perish. It never said where there's no water or road, the people perish. It said where there's no vision, the people perish. And my people are dead for lack of knowledge. Therefore, what is important to us is visionary leadership. Leadership without vision is simple like a trailer without an engine. Therefore, we must begin to choose leaders who have vision and those who have program for our companies of society or nation. Let me quickly analyze one thing, and I know the speaker will make a good impact on this. That if we do have 1,000 lions led by a sheep, talking about leadership, and you do have 1,000 sheep led by a lion, if the 1,000 lion led by a sheep is in a fight or struggle with 1,000 sheep led by a lion, the 1,000 sheep, though they are sheep led by a single lion, will defeat that 1,000 lions led by a sheep. Because that one single lion leading the sheep has the ability to inspire the rest of the sheep to become lions. While the 1,000 lions led by a sheep, that sheep will transfer the sheepness into the lions that the lions are going to sheep. So leadership is all important. Because leadership simply means ability to motivate, inspire, educate, encourage a group of people or a society towards achieving a particular goal in a developmental course. Leadership is everything. And in our nation, people say to me that Nigeria is a poor nation. Nigeria is not a poor nation. Imo State is not a poor state, and there's no state in Nigeria that is poor. What is poor in those states is simply the leadership of the states. When you have the right leader, there will be progress in the land. And let me advise our leaders who are here present that any problem and challenge a leader is in his place of leadership are those problems that he or she is meant to solve. So we, the leaders of this nation, must rise up on the issue of Boko Haram and the issue of kidnapping to know that this is a challenge that we leaders must solve. And it's incumbent on us to find a solution. And this is not the time of pointing fingers of who is right or wrong. This is the time to address the issue at hand. And unfortunately, most of our leaders have learned to engage in the cyclical blame of responsibility. This governor comes up and said the reason why he's not doing well is because the former governor didn't do well. I would say that Hakim did not do well, or Hakim will wake up with them and say, Udemwa did not do well, Udemwa will wake up with Mbakwe, who is dead, and say, Mbakwe did not do well. And so there's a cyclical blame of responsibilities. And we must stop, because leaders must learn to take responsibility on the issues before them. Let us stop pointing who is wrong and begin to discuss what is wrong and what can we do to correct what is wrong. Yes, Boko Haram indeed is a challenge to all of us. It's a major challenge today. Kidnapping is a major challenge. But don't forget that even the whole world today, in Mali, there's near civil war. In Syria now, there's killings and civil war. In America, there's psycho killings. So there are killings all over the world. There are crises all over the world. But for us as a nation, we must see this as one of those challenges that developing nations must go through to get their point of greatness. Boko Haram will not overcome us. As a nation, we need to come together now and find a solution to this issue of Boko Haram. Because the bloodletting in this country is worse than the one we have let out during the Civil War. So leaders should be held responsible for all crises and for all challenges in the land. That's the only way we can now begin to solve those problems. Therefore, I want to enjoy all Nigerians to say that all hopes are not lost as a nation. Even within these challenges, I still believe there's a great nation. Nigeria is indeed one of the greatest nations of mankind. And thank God that Boko Haram kidnapping, killings have not been able to divide us. That means all of us believe in the entity called Nigeria. And I want to, and for all those who have held your crew in terms of provocation, not to have made statements that have inflamed the already bad situation. I want to commend all our leaders, spiritual and traditional leaders, for having kept the peace of this country intact. Because if we had left it in the hand of politicians, we would have, the country may have been destroyed by now. So I commend you, the religious leaders, and the traditional rulers. And for the rest of us in party politics and politicians, let me also advise that we should begin to churn out a national vision, a vision for the people. You can imagine that the whole vision of most political parties in Nigeria is how to remain in power for the next 20 years. The vision of PDP is how to continue ruling Nigeria for the next 20 years. That's the only vision they have. The vision of ACN is how to capture the whole of Southwest and nobody can go there. While the vision of CDC is how to control the North so nobody can win there. And the vision of ABGA, of course, is how to capture the whole Southeast so nobody can be there. But thank God for APC that has come together now to form the vision. APC is a simple tablet, and it's the original tablet that has cured the headache of every nation or every society when we were growing up. And in terms of war, when things get beyond the mercantility, APC as a war instrument is used to defend the nation. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not against election. I have a man who is an oracle by excellence. Aliyu Babangida, my good friend, will be coming to do justice on how we can build a nation. But let me leave you with this food for thought, my brothers. We are born into a society we found ourselves called Nigeria. We are not an architect or instrumental, or having a say as to choosing where we come from. But God, in His infinite mercy, has bestowed on us that nationhood called Nigeria. So we have no other nation than Nigeria. If therefore there's anything we can make to keep the unity of this country, let us do it now. Let us not fight or we may not pass through this way again. If there's any justice we can make, let us do it now. Let us not fight or we may not pass through this way again. If there's any kindness we can show, let us not fight, let us do it now, so we can build a Nigeria of our collective dream and aspiration. May the Almighty God bless all.
His Excellency the Governor of Imo State of Nigeria, a politician par excellence, a minister of the Federal Capital Territory, author, and Dr. Malam Nasir El-Rufai is in the house. We thank you also, Malam Nasir El-Rufai. We also welcome you, the former governor.
A leader that grew. I would also like to recognize the Ambassador Ladan Shuni OON. Please put your hands together for him. When Iwele Rocha Sokorocha delivered his speech here, he made a statement, and I saw someone shaking his head, eager to move from where he was seated to come and say something. May I, at this moment, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, invite over as I step aside to this senior Nigerian in the person of Chief Servant of Niger State, Alhaji Dr. Babangida Aliyu. Please put your hands together for the guest speaker.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Mr. Chairman, my colleague, friend and brother, Governor Rochas Okorocha, thank you very much for setting the agenda for the discussion on the difference between politicians and leaders. But most importantly, the other issues that you raised, I will leave you with my chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, who will take you up on why the APC is no more in the market. I believe he will do more in that place. Mr. Chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, this is your opportunity to further legitimize that organization and to confirm that it was not set up to reduce the strength of Nigeria's Governors Forum. No, it is supposed to complement it properly. But most importantly, I believe you should ask the chairman of the occasion whether APC has accepted in which group is he. Is it up the APC or up the PDP or which one? I'm sure you will pick that. But let me say that rebuilding a nation, rebuilding a society will require at least keeping to time. When I knew that His Eminence the Sultan would be here and the Cardinal would be here, I knew they would keep to time. You tell them 9 o'clock, they will be in that place 8:45. I rushed and I came 10 o'clock. When I saw the Magadiga in Sokoto outside, I didn't know now that he has 2 jobs, both at the leadership newspaper and the Sultan's palace. When I saw him, I was so happy. I said, I came before the Sultan, only for me to enter the waiting room to see the Sultan sitting down waiting for us. We must learn to keep to time. Otherwise, all the talk about rebuilding this and rebuilding that would not be. The chairman and the publisher and the pharmacist and journalist, the Kakakinope, I congratulate you for this outing. In fact, I was whispering to him, I said I heard that he's interested in contesting, that he can have no better audience to declare his intention than today, where virtually all the strata of the society are here because of him. So if it is true, maybe you better let them know here and now. His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, the Cardinal. Usually, when the Sultan is in place, you recognize him, it means to recognize all the Royal Highnesses. So when the publisher was going to almost a roll call of all the, I had to say, please remind him the Sultan, you have already recognized him, and through him you have recognized any Royal Highness that is here. My leaders, the politicians, the excellences, the real excellences that are here, those are the high commissioners and the ambassadors, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I must provide the caveat here. I was contacted about 4 days ago. And I'm happy when the publisher said to me, you know, you are the last governor we contacted and you are the first to come. And I said, look at it. You are not even giving me an award, and I came before the governor that you are awarding. The caveat is that we would have loved to have heard from the former president of Rwanda, who faced a lot of problems when he had what we could have compared with our civil war, when the Hutus and Tutsis descended on one another and they lost a lot of lives, and also the country lost its bearing that it is just catching up now. But it appeared that the problem that happened in Rwanda gave it an opportunity to really rebuild a nation, now of respect for one another, a nation of development, a nation that really the citizens are proud of now. In other words, what was a problem has now become a reason to really look back and say, maybe it was good that it happened, otherwise we would not have realized it. But what happened to us? By 1960, every nation in the world, the analysts, all agreed that Nigeria will be one of the greatest nations on earth. That was a time when many of the Asian tigers were actually down. South Korea, for instance, was really one of the poorest nations in the world, with the lowest per capita income. But today, South Korea is probably one of the top 10 in the world. What happened to us? What generated the hope that we would have developed was our population, our wealth of natural resources, and indeed the kind of intellects that we provided. When people talk of corruption, they only come to terms, or they seem to understand it only in terms of money and funds. No. Even coming late to an occasion, you have corrupted it. Because the MCs were all playing, recognizing so as to keep the time to wait for some people. So when in 1966, the military struck in the name of corruption, in the name of corrections, they actually corrupted our political process. Could it be that if there was no that coup, we would have developed at the pace that the world thought of us? Was that possible? If not possible, then what are the issues that has come now to bear that we cannot get what we are looking for? Sometimes, Chairman, it is important to analyze issues, even if not blaming individuals, but to see the variables that have really intervened to make things very difficult for a nation or for an individual. So sometimes it's not a blaming game. I have had so many people when they talk, they say, no, don't look back, don't do this. If you don't look back, you wouldn't even know the front that you're going. With that military coup, our society became militarized. With that military coup, the creation and the development of a federation was skewed. If you recall, the regions were generating revenue, and the regions created the federal government or the federal structure. But today, the federal structure is the one determining what happens in the region in the name of the states. In those days, when the region had its way, they were able to look at policies and there was healthy competition between the regions. And communities were meant to really develop. Because while we praise the free education of our Lord, we must also bear in mind to praise the community leaders in those places where villages will contribute money to send their children to school, indeed abroad. But with the coup, the federal government felt that everything could be done. In fact, the federal government started controlling the commanding heights. So in rebuilding, it is important that we know, some of them the line, that for the government to really command or take commanding heights of the economy was bad. And then we started talking of privatization, commercialization, concessioning, and I'm happy one of the big shots of privatization is here, my brother El-Rufai. And recently, with the reading, it means even in the privatization, we lost our bearing. Because apparently, even those who are in charge of the privatization did their own thing. So it's important to know some of these things that are coming. Recently, there had been hue and cry that Nigerians are sending their children abroad. I used to hold the view that every public officer, from a messenger to the president, must be compelled to ensure that his children school in Nigeria. But then if you look at what is happening today, you have every year 1.5 million people. You see, they're corrupting the time. You have 1.5 million people and pupils who sit for examinations and apply to our universities. But the tertiary institution, including the universities, have a place for not more than 400,000 out of this 1.5 million. Why? Again, because we lost our bearing on the importance of planning. In the first place, we're in a country where you cannot plan properly because you don't even know the population that you're planning for. Every man thinks his pastime is to accumulate number of women. So even if you project, even if you use the UN projection, with Nigeria, you must add 2 more figures to that UN projection. By UN projection, today Nigeria will have 170 million people. If you look at all our budgetary plans for the past 10 years, you will discover that we have not been able to get our bearing right. Are we planning for the people or planning out of our heads? Planning is very important in rebuilding a nation, but you must know the population profile of the people that you're planning for. Very important for all of us. All our censuses since 1960 have been accused. Some have been accused of counting livestock. Others have been accused of counting fisheries. To the extent that a state with probably a population altogether including children of less than 1 million will produce during election 2 million votes. That is not right. We must, as a people, come together to say we really want to do what is right. Otherwise, whether it's a lion leading sheep or sheep leading lions, at the end of the day, if we don't know the enemy we're fighting, then we will all, the lion may not be able to lionize the sheep, or the sheep will not be able to sheep the lion. So culturally, we must come to terms. And I have been saying this without fear of any contradiction. When polygamy was allowed in Islam, it was not allowed only for enjoyment. It was not allowed only to make women objects. No. It was allowed to solve societal problems. Just for example, you marry a wife, you want children, but for some fortuitous circumstances, she cannot give you children. You discuss with her. She understands. And this is where legitimate bravery, you bribe her to accept that because of this your desire and need, she should allow you to marry another wife. But what has happened now in our country, many of us don't even know the rules. Many of us, after 30 years, 40 years with a wife, we will not even let her know. She will pick the rumor from the street, on the street. What happens after 30 years of sacrifice to a man who may not even have been as satisfying as he should be? And suddenly, with this kind of noise, a stroke comes in. And then you abandon her. And you think God is not seeing you. So culturally, we must also go back to find out what is happening in our society. That today, we're even afraid of our shadow. And then to come back again to education. How many of us as parents today pay attention to know where our children are and what they are doing and with whom are they moving around? When a 40-year-old has more than 25 children and he has no time to even communicate and show love to them, how do you think to someone or secondary JSS 1 to SS 3? There were days, and that is why some of us were saying, no, do not say you are building Al-Majri schools. There was a time when the journey from Borno to Ibadan would have taught our children sense of discipline, and the teachers were taking care of their pupils. But today what we have seen is exploitation. A child from Borno growing up in Ilori does not even know his parents, only that teacher. And then you want to stigmatize him by saying he's an Al-Majri and he should go to Al-Majri school. We say no, integrate it properly with the normal school system. So that you have people growing up instead of what we have today. And many people do not understand it. When we keep saying that Boko Haram does not represent Islam, Boko Haram from the activities does not know Islam, and therefore Boko Haram is something else, not a Muslim organization and not fighting for Islam. Because many of them are doing things that are anti-Islam. In my belief system, if a Muslim commits suicide, he goes straight to hell. If a Muslim kills another person without justified reasons, all the sins of that person are transferred to him in addition to his own. There is no compulsion to the religion of Islam. You cannot compel a person to become a Muslim. You can persuade him through your actions, but not to go with a point of gun and say, become a Muslim. No. So let us segment all these issues. Niger Delta crisis, kidnappings, and the insurgency of the so-called Boko Haram must be situated properly in terms of what is happening in our country today as a result of all our activities that we have done. Our politics is so militarized, and maybe that is why the chairman was able to distinguish between politicians and leaders. How do we make politicians leaders? And how do we make leaders to accept to enter into politics? That is part of our need to rebuild. Lucky enough, even those who will not be in politics are leaders and are speaking, even to the detriment of their sanity. The insecurity that we find ourselves today, Mr. Chairman, is as a result of the activities and the decay and the moral decadence that has caught up with us. And I'm happy today, that's why I needed to be here. In fact, when I was spoken to 4 days ago, I said I will come. Why? Because the Sultan and the Cardinal have been awarded for the role that they have been playing in our society. And also to urge them to continue. Because if we don't talk, if we don't speak, many of us are being castigated for talking out. At first they said Dr. Babangida talks too much. I said that's why I'm paid to talk, so that I can raise the consciousness and mobilize the people into a particular direction. Later on they said, please keep talking. I said, why? Why now? You accused me before. I argue His Eminence and the Cardinal, please do not keep quiet. Do not keep quiet. Our institutions must be rebuilt. Our education, both at home and the formal institution, must be rebuilt. And we can only do it after we understand what needs to be done. Our economy has gone tatters. All that we're doing now, half of it are pretense. Corruption, not only at the government level, corruption has now permeated our society and has eaten into the fabric of the family. Today, you are protected by your community. They even accuse those who want to be honest. I give an example of a level 6 officer and a level 17 officer. A level 17 officer who had reached the pinnacle of his career as well as his education. He got a level 6 officer with ordinary diploma in accounting. He got him a job. But suddenly, even at home, the level 6 officer was more respected than the level 17 officer. Why? Because this level 6 officer was in an office where he could steal and take home and distribute, and nobody ever asked him. The logic was not, how come you are getting more or you are bringing more money home than your brother who is your senior not bringing home? No, it was the reverse accusation. the level 17 officer was sitting by in and out and said, what type of school that you attended, that your junior brother is bringing and helping us with more money than you? In other words, they didn't care how the money was coming to them, so long as it was coming home. And in a society like that, then it means the competition for power is actually the competition for holding the purse of government. And we must arrest that. Rebuilding our economy. We must run away from the monoculture of relying on petroleum. Even now, my chairman of PDP Governance Forum, when I saw the books you have given me, I said only a rich man can print these books. But again, the monoculture. Today that in Nigeria we have to be talking about revenue mobilization, we have to be talking even PIB law, importation of oil. Rice fields, we have been talking of rice fields for many years, none are coming because some people are enjoying the importation. There are times when a nation has to take a decision to suffer for a little period of time. Stop the importation, and people will be compelled to eat the one at home, and through that improve on the meaning of all the food. And unfortunately, how many people are really enjoying or benefiting from all these our bad policies? Very few. And many of them, they take the money out of the country. That was why many of us were happy when the economic meltdown came. It melted down their investment, but they couldn't cry. Some they developed hypertension. Some you saw them looking very sick, but they cannot explain to you why. The economic meltdown comes for all those who have stolen our money and kept somewhere. And when they die, may their children not see that money. It is important that, in addition to prayer, that we act. We must meet the kind of punishment to people that are caught, so as to frighten others. In 1960s and early part of 1970, we used to beg parents to send their children to school. Now they have sent their children to school. They have graduated, but no employment. In Niger State, when I introduced the graduate employment scheme, I discovered one common factor. One is that the students were just given admission without regard to what they could do or what they want to do. I don't know whether the publisher of leadership, maybe, but during JAMB was not there. Were you admitted by JAMB? You are not. Yeah. So, if you ask a student, you say, JAMB gave me this. So I was wondering, you read pharmacy and you ended up journalism, whether JAMB gave you pharmacy. Many of the students cannot understand what an aptitude test is all about. Many of them cannot complete 3-4 sentences at a go. So we'll get them, give them a training of 6 months, and believe me, after the first training, many of them were appointed in federal institutions and in the private sector. But I registered more than 22,000 graduates of NCE, of HND, and degree holders. But at the state level, I can, given my resources, I can only employ 6,000. So I'm left with 17,000. And these are voluntary registrations, so the number could be more than that. And if we have to take census all over the country, there are many graduates that are out there. Even the Boko Haram thing that started, if you recall, many graduates were tearing their certificates in Yobe and Borno and joining the group. Which means they disregarded that whatever they did in the school system. We must find a way to tackle unemployment in our country, or we must be ready to continue with solving one security problem. You notice that immediately we got amnesty in Niger Delta, and now we're talking of amnesty for Boko Haram. If we do not solve the actual problems on the ground, or we are not seen to be attempting to solve them, then another group may spring up. In those days, wherever we went, Nigerians were respected. But today, once you introduce yourself in any international meeting as Nigeria, the first image is of fraud, of 419, and do not trust him. And we need to take serious steps to redeem our image, when at home and abroad. In fact, there are people who feel, and many of us, when we go out, we behave. They say line up, we line up. A young officer would look at you and say, you stand by that side. You sheepishly, now sheep keep coming back. You sheepishly go to one side. But no sooner you landed in Nigeria, then you begin to behave like a Nigerian. Now you lionize people. You come to the airport, you don't even want to give your passport. You come to the airport, you wouldn't fill. While in other countries, you must fill their form before you enter. We must arrest that situation and rebuilding our country. So economic restructuring. We must continue to argue for the revenue formula that will be more people-friendly, that will take care of the people at the local government and the state. Having been a permanent secretary at the federal level, and I worked in about 8 ministries as a permanent secretary, I can tell you the wastage many a times is not even corruption. It's the wastage as a result of the incapacity of the system to utilize the resources that are given to it. 52.8% comes to the Federation, while the remaining goes to the states and local government. The people are out there in the state and local government. The farms, the hospitals are out there in the state and local government. But we sit here in Abuja to plan for people that we do not even know. We need to really devolve some of the powers and responsibilities of the federal government to the states and local governments. And in the process, to really build the right capacity that can do the job. Have we not outgrown some of the policies that were enacted in the 60s and 70s? Can we not now insist on men who can do the job? Rather than giving some people room that we have almost made it. If a Yoruba man is in a particular office, he fills the place with the Yoruba man. If a Hausa man is in a particular office, he fills the place with Yoruba man, with Hausa men, in the name of favorite character. Shouldn't we now be emphasizing merit? Who can really do the job? It does not matter where you come from, but that you can do this job and you have been recognized and you have been tested amongst many and you have been found to be most fitting. I think we should begin to review some of the process. Many of them are being abused now, and we need to review them. As no religious harmony, we have built some institutions, and I'm happy that now we are beginning to get somewhere. When I entered a church in the wedding, before I entered, somebody rushed to me, "Are you going to enter the church?" I looked at him and said, "Show me in the Bible or in the Quran where it is said I cannot enter a church for a ceremony." And I said, "Do you know what your religion is based on?" The foundation of your religion is innamal a'malu binniyat. All actions are based on intention and they are so judged. If I enter a church that will create more confidence between the Muslims and the Christians, that is my intention. If I enter a church because a friend of mine who is a Christian is getting married, that is my intention. And therefore we must consciously, all of us in the position of authority, at whatever level, must consciously act to bring our people together. All the differences that we say, either in terms of ethnicity or in terms of religion, will not take us anywhere. The God who created us has told us that I created you into nations and tribes, not to discriminate against one another, but to know and love one another. Like we say, if you had wanted to create us, all one, Chinese, you would have done that. But even among the black, you will see one that your mind will just smile. You will see one that you will have thought he should have been taken to somewhere else. And you see a black man like me, whether you like me or not, nobody creates us. That is the essence, to recognize and respect one another. And we must be doing things consciously to bring that into place. Our political process. And I'm happy the chairman, ACN, is here. Because since APC has not been registered, Mr. Chairman, Rochester Okorocha, I will not be talking about it. But I know Asuwaju will understand me when I say that. Don't point at me. You want us to quarrel with Asuwaju, I will not. Rochester. Now if they come through the window to enter APC. Our political process sets up for leadership. We must ensure internal democracy in the parties. We must make it plain that the best has emerged. But this arrangement where people sit and impose candidates on the party, we have already begun to see the ills in our society. Some are misnomer to the position that they occupy. And it creates its own problems. And the majority of the people are losing confidence in governance as a result of that kind of issues. People must be given a chance to elect the people that they think can do better for them. Situation where you impose candidates and you go to bribe the people, and the culture is almost been established now, where the common people, when you go to campaign, they say, give me my own now, because after election, we will not see you again until the next round of election. We must stop that. And we are the ones who can do that. Don't worry, my chairman of PDP governor, stop. When you talk, they say you want to be president. What is wrong? Many of the leaders we had were elected leaders. And now we are beginning to have people like Rochas Okorocha and the chairman of PDP governors who are ready. One to be senator, one to be president. So why not? If you are not elected, you are not elected candidate. You must prepare your mind, you must read, you must negotiate, you must consult. So that if God in His mercy makes you one, you will be ready for the job, and you will not be lying there, and it will take you many years to even understand what governance is all about. Learn it now. If it doesn't come, you will do governance in your house.
Use your hand button if not to spoil your tripod.
Because that is where democracy is supposed to be entrenched properly. If your children, you communicate with them. If you show them love, those are the children that tomorrow will become the men and the women of the society. Good governance is important. Whether you are a politician or a leader. When for 3 consecutive years, with the little resources coming to Niger, we were declared the least poor state in the country, with 33.8%. Many people did not understand. I said, no, go to the people. Forget when Indira informed me. Anytime I see an advertorial that has no sense, I said, my friend, why are you printing this advertorial? I didn't know that money. Because Indira will be collecting money from those advertisements for people who are using the governor of Niger. What Indira was expecting is that I should now come back to retaliate, then double money for leadership. When I understand, I say, okay, I will not be replying. Just take one money and go. But that is not the issue. The issue is, are my people happy with me? Today, my responsibility is 90%. Are the majority of the people of Niger State happy with me? If somebody in opposition decides to write whatever he wants to write,
they are watching your back.
It is not my responsibility to start explaining.
Organize yourself.
I will go back and see where I've done wrong with the people, apologize where it is necessary, or correct whatever mistakes, and that is the beauty of opposition. When AC and CPC and AMPP came together, an ABGA, which one? ABGA, okay, decided to come together, I was the first to say, I pray it succeeds. Why? Because like the chairman said, or claimed, that the PDP vision is only to win election. No. Maybe we have started taking things for granted, that people are talking of, oh, we will hold power for so long, we will hold. If you have a credible opposition, it will keep you on your toes. You will know that you cannot take things for granted. You will know that you need to consult with the people. You will know that you need to do the right thing. Otherwise, the opposition will come and take over. That was how today many people, when they talk about the US, they see only the 2 parties. No, there are many parties on the ground. But through history, 2 parties have emerged. The same thing in Britain, the same thing in Germany. So that is why all of us must encourage the creation of credible opposition in our body politics. And those who cannot appreciate opposition, I know you will come. Those who cannot appreciate opposition, then they have no business being in governance. You will need somebody to remind you of what you have to do that is right. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good governance for me is highly imperative and the crucial endeavor. And this means the ability of a government to earn public trust, have integrity, encourage socio-political harmony, and accountability, openness, public spiritedness, vision, and courage. I therefore note with every sense of humility that it was not by chance that, like I told you, many states have been recognized as doing excellently well. Usually, when you do well, it is a product of hard work, dedication, and foresight, and also bringing other people to really participate actively and understand what is happening. As our population grows further, we must plan for the infrastructure and social services to support such growth and to enhance the quality of life of the population. Decent housing. When people say we have only 12 million deficit of decent housing, I say no. Many of the houses that you see are not supposed to be for human beings. So actually, if you look at our population, we are probably in deficit of over 40 million houses. And we must continue to build houses. We should not accuse people who rush for a headache to Egypt. If we have the hospitals here, people will not go to Egypt. We must not accuse people who carry their children to the Republic of Benin, to Togo, and to Ghana. Because if we have good schools, people will have come to us. We must review all our economic policies and come to terms with them. We must rethink this word subsidy. I have made an argument that give me a voucher so that when I go to the fuel station, my voucher will be used rather than taking the money and giving it to some few people, and I go to fuel station and I do not buy fuel under subsidized price. It is very important that some of these things will remove the politics out of it and look at it in its pure economic value. And I believe if we do that, and if we become more honest, and we develop the right character, that we will build Nigeria. I thank you very much.
Persons of the year to respond to the remarks and the lecture by the chief servant of Niger State. Permit me to recognize Alhaji Aliyu Ahmed Firoman Adamawa, who is representing His Excellency, His Royal Highness, the Lamido Adamawa. We thank you very much, sir. We will also recognize the presence of Elder Statesman Chief Audu Ogwe. Thank you, sir. His Royal Highness Honor Afabaji and Chairman Council of Chiefs FCT is here with us. Thank you. Mrs. Sarah Payne, Special Advisor to the President in Social Development and Special Duties, is also there. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to graciously invite His Eminence the Sultan for a few remarks concerning rebuilding Nigeria. Please, let's put our hands together for the Sultan.
Our
More distinguished brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I was requested to say some few words at this very important program we're having today. The awards today are very important and significant. And as those chosen to be the persons of the year, that is myself and my brother, Cardinal Onarepon, we decided to consult between us and therefore considered to my brother, Cardinal Onarepon, to speak on our behalf. When he was current president and co-chairman of the Inter-Religious Council, which I also chair, we used to adopt that format. When one speaks, the other adopts what that person said. So I request and invite my brother, John Cardinal Onarepon, to speak to you on rebuilding Nigeria on behalf of the two of us.
Chairman of the occasion, all our distinguished people on both the high and the ordinary tables, brothers and sisters, distinguished gentlemen and ladies, God bless you all. I think the fact that the Sultan has insisted that we should speak with one voice and that I should formulate that speech is already rebuilding Nigeria. Because the secret, as far as I'm concerned about the rebuilding of this country, is that we find our common voice as one nation. Not despite our differences, but with our differences. But before I speak, permit me to say one or two words about this discussion between politicians and leaders. My brother, Owele Rochas, probably in order to make a point, almost appeared as if he was contrasting leadership with being a politician. But I'm sure he doesn't mean it that way. But that gave me an opportunity to ask to be able to put in one little expression word, namely, not every leader is a politician. I consider myself a leader in my own way, but I am not a politician, at least in the Nigerian sense of the word. And not every politician is a leader. I imagine what we are looking for is a situation where leaders become politicians, and that the politicians be real leaders. And all the qualities that Owele Rochas outlined for proper leadership should be what all politicians should have, especially if they are presenting themselves before us to confer on them the leadership of our nation. And I do believe that since he said all this and he's a politician, whether he likes it or not, since he's a politician, he's more or less saying every politician must take on these heavy responsibilities of leadership that he outlined so clearly. Our prayer and our hope in Nigeria is that this whole idea of politicians being those who are short-sighted, who are selfish, will eventually be thrown overboard, because that is not really what a politician is. Both in Christianity and in Islam, from my own understanding, politics is supposed to be a sacred duty. You shouldn't be a politician, namely leading people, unless you are in union with your God, who is the only ruler of every nation. And therefore, if nobody should dare to want to rule people who does not follow God, because God is the only ruler. None of us can rule anybody. So a ruler must be ruling in the name of God, otherwise he becomes a dictator or a thief or anything else in talk about. After that, permit me then to just read a few things. Since the chief servant of Niger State has spoken so much about rebuilding Nigeria, there's really not much more I have to add, but in order that the scriptures might be fulfilled, let me read part of what I had prepared, for in my name and in the name of His Eminence the Sultan. On behalf of the Sultan and myself, I thank the Leadership newspaper for giving us the joint award of Persons of the Year 2012. We are quite aware of the significance of the joint award. I emphasize joint award, especially in the present circumstances of our nation. I thank God for the good relationship and genuine friendship which God Himself has inspired between myself and the Sultan. My hope and my prayer is that this will promote and encourage the many efforts that Nigerians at all levels are making to build a harmonious national community, not despite, but because of our different faiths. And here I must explain. When I hear people say, let us join together, let's forget our differences, I begin to fear. I cannot forget the fact that I'm a Christian and that my brother, the Sultan, is a Muslim. We cannot forget that. We work together because we have some spiritual inspirations that move us and move us in the same direction. And so the Christian cannot forget being a Christian. He's never allowed to forget being a Christian. And I believe the Muslim too cannot forget being a Muslim. The issue is, how do you live your life as a true Christian and your life as a true Muslim and work for peace and harmony in your community, which we believe is the desire of God Himself for all of us. The organizers of this event have suggested that we say a few words on the theme, rebuilding Nigeria, and the Chief Shepherd of Niger State has said more than a few words. When we talk of rebuilding, we have before our minds the image of a building with its architecture and structure, materials, finishing and furnishing. When we use that expression in respect of a nation, it obviously connotes the fact that the nation needs to be rebuilt. But even rebuilding can be either renovation, superficial renovation, or a total knocking down of the edifice in order to make room for a brand new building. It is my belief that what we need in Nigeria is not the dismantling of the entire edifice, as is sometimes being canvassed. Rather, I believe we need a radical and yes, substantial renovation. The present administration speaks of transformation, which is a very good word, but I hope it is more than a word. That means an updating of the architecture of our nation, a consolidation of the structures of that building, an improvement in the material that make up the nation, namely the human resources, the citizens. And this calls for a great attention to our social relationship and what it is that makes a nation truly great. When we talk of the architecture of our nation, I probably think really of our Constitution. A lot has been said about the revision of our Constitution, some of us are thinking not just of the revision, but the total redrafting. That's not my job. Those whose job it is must look seriously in this matter. As for the structure of our country, I believe that the country has valid institutions. The problem, however, is that those institutions are not being given the chance to operate. And on the whole, the nation is not as if I've heard people speak about Nigeria being a failed state. When you see a real failed state, nobody will tell you what you are talking about. I see a failed state in Somalia. I cannot say the same of my country. We still have enough time, and we still have enough possibility to avoid that great calamity of a state that completely collapses by God's grace. The question is, can we build a natural sense of integrity, hard work, and service of the common good? These are the values that should not depend on the political parties that one belongs to, or religious affiliation, or on our ethnic belonging. There ought to be certain national ethic that guides us in all that we do. We need to sustain our dreams for a great nation and work for it with sincere faith that it is possible. I'm afraid many Nigerians seem to have lost faith in the possibility of a great Nigeria. Every now and again, we hear people say, this is Nigeria, by which they mean that this is the best that we can get. I beg to differ. And when people in government tell me they are doing their best and that we should acknowledge the problems that they have, they ought to know that their best is still not good enough. We belong to the first league of nations, not only in soccer. We should never forget that the rest of the black race is looking up to us to redeem its image. Some of us travel abroad very often, and this hits me regularly as fellow blacks, whether from the African continent or from the diaspora, keep asking, what is happening in your country, Nigeria? In all the top level meetings that determine where our present day world is going, the black race is completely absent, despite the near cosmetic presence of an Obama. If we fail, which other black nation can succeed? Is it Mali? Is it South Africa? I'm not sure. I've spoken with South Africans. We have not landed there yet. We have what it takes to succeed. All that is required is good leadership that is wise, transparent, and service-oriented. And when we say leadership, we refer not only to the political leadership, but also to the leadership of the nation in all other areas. Civil service, professionals, industry and commerce, and we must also include religion and the traditional institutions. There are always obstacles to the achievement of dreams, but these obstacles are meant to be overcome, and they shall be overcome. Two of the obstacles before us, which stand as obstacles to our dreams like twin monsters, and which we must resolutely and sincerely confront, are corruption and presently insecurity. And when I speak of corruption in this sense, I'm not talking of the petty thievery of small-scale officers seeking little bribes simply to survive. We are talking of serious, official, legal stealing in high places. Sometimes when I talk of corruption, we used to say, well, the whole of Nigeria is corrupt, so until everybody stops corruption. I think I've stopped talking that way. The poor policeman on the road who collects 50 naira, I cannot compare him with the guy who sits in his comfortable office with a stroke of the pen and takes away 2 billion naira from my people. They are different. They are not the same thing at all. We are hearing of millions, even billions of naira, sometimes even dollars, being stolen with impunity. The poor people of Nigeria have been deprived of their just resources. There's a Latin expression, Latin law, the Roman law, res clamat domino, meaning the property is always crying for its owner. It is no longer a rumor that our money has been stolen and is still being stolen. It is been mentioned. Clearly, names are mentioned, figures are mentioned. We only hear it, of course, after sometimes other places come up and we forget the previous one. But the problem is there. This stealing must stop. No more cover up. No more pretense. No more euphemisms. We hear all kinds of special words used. Misappropriation, misapplication. Even the word embezzlement doesn't mean much, really. Say stealing only. That's clear. Because that is really what it is. And furthermore, just according to the adage that the property is always crying for its owner, stolen resources must be recovered and put back at the disposal of the poor people from whom it has been stolen. You see, people steal money and they say they stole government money. We should not say so. It's not government money, it's our money. And whenever you go out on the streets and you see human beings living in places which, according to the chief shepherd, chief servants of Niger, are places that are not even worthy of human habitation. When you look at those things, you ask yourself, why are fellow Nigerians living under those conditions? Because a few Nigerians have stolen their money, which they should have used to build themselves. Not a mansion in Asoko Road, for goodness sake. No, just simple house we can live in a decent way like human beings. And this is our problem. We should pardon our thieves. I believe in pardon. Yes. But they must return the loot. On the level of insecurity, insecurity is everywhere. Yesterday and today there is news. Boston, insecurity, bombs. Even in the middle of the United States, insecurity is everywhere. The question is, how does the society deal with insecurity? Are we in a position where we can be protected from the activities of violent people? That is the problem we are facing right now. It is a problem on our hand, the problem of terrorism, and we need all hands on deck. The security approach, guns, equipment, trained personnel is necessary, but as we can see, not enough on their own. Political forces must link hands, and we beg them, please link hands. Enough of mutual accusation. Let all political forces come together to face this common enemy, this common menace in our midst. I mean, the terrorism in any form it is taken. As far as Boko Haram is concerned, I believe there is a religious dimension. We cannot forget it. It is obvious. That's different from saying that it is religious. But there is a religious dimension. And that means those of us who really believe in religion cannot claim that we have no part to play. And therefore, I believe this is an area where the religious bodies must find a way of increasing our dialogue in such a way that whatever religion is left is whatever religious element is in this problem we have on our hand, we can at least offer our own contribution towards this solution. The present debate on amnesty, in my own opinion, is very healthy. At least we are talking of a solution, not just sitting down and suffering violence. Government should bring all the stakeholders together, and I hope they are doing so, because I believe that together we can redeem our nation. The two monsters are actually linked: corruption and insecurity. I'm sure one of the problems why the insecurity problem is difficult is that there is also corruption. I thank the leadership, that's conclusion. I thank the leadership of the newspaper for honoring the Sultan and me in this very visible way. It is a very pleasant surprise, at least to me. Maybe the Sultan is used to such honors. I have the honor of knowing the Sultan fairly well. We have worked together. We fought together against mosquitoes. We fought together against HIV and AIDS. We spoke about our efforts not only in Nigeria and abroad. And I believe that we share a lot of common values and interests. We believe in the greatness of our nation and back it. We believe in the basic good relationship that exists among our people across ethnic and religious lines. There are exceptions. There are those who kill. There are those violent people. There are those who are even killing with the terrible things they say. But on the whole, generally, Nigerians are a wonderful group of people. I keep telling, I just returned from Paris. I was there last week. We were talking about religious freedom. And you know, the reason why they invited me was that they had the idea that in Nigeria, the Muslims are oppressing the Christians and not giving us religious freedom. And I was happy to be able to let them know that, sorry, we are not like Pakistan, we are not like even like Iraq or Iran. Nigeria is not, there's not, neither Christianity nor Islam is predominant. We are all about the same, both demographic and political force. And so we are balanced. Question of one oppressing the other doesn't really arise, because my own very convinced opinion from the people I meet on the road, from the what I see in Wuse Market and everywhere in the offices, Nigerians generally live very well together among themselves. And I think on this we are building all our efforts for harmony in the nation. We are not, as it were, closing our eyes to problems, refusing to admit that there are difficulties, but difficulties are there to be tackled and overcome. We take our religion seriously. We see this as an asset to our community, not a liability, like some people think. But religion will become an asset only if we refuse, as religious leaders, to be manipulated and misused for other purposes. We have been doing our best to discover and build on our wide range of shared values. This permits us to jointly address the challenges that face us all without distinction. Be these social challenges, economic, Christian, Muslim, demographic configuration. This nation can be, and I believe firmly, is already a model for the rest of the world when it comes to finding out how can Christians and Muslims live together in one nation with mutual respect and in harmony. The award you have decided to give to us is certainly an encouragement that we should continue along this path for the good of our nation and to rebuild a great Nigeria. I hope I have spoken the minds of His Eminence the Sultan. If I have not, he has an opportunity to come here and balance the picture. Thank you very much.
Please, can we put our hands together one more for the cardinal? Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for saying it straight from the heart. Issues of corruption being revealed in Nigeria. We have a microphone by one of our ushers. Would urge us to indicate by raising of my hands required to speak for not more than 2 minutes. It's better if I keep it coming in the form of questions. But before then, please permit me to recognize the presence of the Honorable Minister of Information, Comrade Labaran Matu. Thank you very much, sir, for being a part of this process this morning. We're really thankful that you could make it here. We will also specially recognize the presence of the Senate Minority Whip, distinguished Senator Ganiu Solomon. Thank you very much, sir. We welcome you, distinguished Senator Domingo Obende, as we also welcome distinguished Senator Luren Tinubu. Senator Luwenga Badari is here as well. We thank you.
Deserved awardees who are our spiritual leaders this special time in the history of our country. My contribution is this: part of the rebuilding Nigeria. Let's go back to our first national anthem at independence. Nigeria will hail thee, our dear fatherland. Though pride and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. All about that we are talking is to serve the nation. And we say in that item, we are ready to serve. It's all about service. Development of our people. Thank you. Let's make the effort to go back to that national anthem and sing it from the heart, not from the tunes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's why we'll take other interventions, please. Before then, please permit me, most distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to recognize the presence and arrival here at this event of a distinguished elder statesman, Chief Edwin Tiago Clark. We thank you very much, sir, for being a part of it. Ini Udoka, Honorable Mrs. Ayo Omidion, and Honorable Binta Bello. We thank you all very much for lending your weight and support to this leadership conference. May I also recognize the presence of the former Governor of Ekiti State of Nigeria, Chief Ayo Bayoshe. We thank you very much. The representative of the Torti and Chairman, Makurdi Local Government Traditional Council, and the third Makurdi, His Royal Highness Chief Dr. J.D. Sulia Benga. JP is here with us. We thank you very much, sir. Reverend Dr. Israel Akanji, the Chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria, FCT, is here with us. We thank you.
Your Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, Your Eminence, the Cardinal, Chairman of this occasion, and the Patron of lands, Owole Rochas Okorocha, the Executive Chief Servants of Niger State, Governor Babangida Amin, and my mentor, without such magnanimity, I wouldn't have become what I am today, the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State, who provided the platform under which I emerged as President of NANS under a free and fair election. If he had gotten a candidate for that election, I would have lost. But he told everybody to allow that election to be free and fair, and that was how I won NANS presidency with just 30,000 naira in my pocket. All the greatest Nigerian students. Ever conscious Nigerian students. I would like to be as brief as possible because I'll be given just 2 minutes to talk. We are talking here about rebuilding Nigeria. I want to first of all appreciate the initiative of the organizer of this occasion in choosing that topic. But then, there are several questions that are begging for answer in this country. First of all, how can we rebuild Nigeria when all what our leaders do, most of them, is to pay lip service to the rebuilding of this country? Most of our leaders, they will come, they will give you beautiful speeches, but most of them doesn't really practice what they preach. The most important problem in Nigeria today is the problem of selfishness, because most of our leaders are selfish. How do we interpret the fact that somewhere yesterday, some persons gathered under the edges of speakers of houses of assembly in this country, clamoring that autonomy should not be granted to 30 of government in this country, the local government? How do we rebuild Nigeria in such a nature? Of the greatest Nigerian students, how do we rebuild Nigeria when some con criminals who had a somewhat genuine struggle really, but they went to criminality and they were granted amnesty, they were being paid 65,000 naira. And because of that, some persons who are equally criminals without a cause, the only cause is that they don't want education. If you don't want education, what is my father's business with that? Don't go and study. They went ahead and they have turned themselves into the most dreaded group in this country, killing everybody all over the country. And government is trying to grant amnesty, giving them 100,000 naira per month. Why the people that they have been killing over the years, the youth corpus of this country, that those people, those terrorists have been killing, the youth corpus are still collecting 19,500. How do we rebuild Nigeria in such nature? My plea, and my appeal is that our leaders should practice what they preach. All of us knows the right thing to do. Let us not continue saying the right thing. Let us start doing the right thing. Aluta continue.
Thank you. I'm happy that you know that you will fight for your rights. Thank you. Aluta continua, very assertive. May we special.
We have attached so much importance to paper qualification in Nigeria, whereby people that have been blessed by God, if a human being can put you in the four walls of a classroom, teach you, and then give you a paper called certificate, how much more of the God Almighty that created you from a drop of liquid, He can add into your brain anything once and deliver. My point is, we should go back to the ways we had in the past, where paper qualification is not as relevant as we have turned it today. Most graduates we bring out from our universities are half-baked. They are giving handouts, they don't study, they don't
streets that are dirty. I see places where we have no water. I see places we don't have the basic hospitals, what have you. I would have wanted to hear people say, I have been leading for 9 years, I've been leading for 20 years. I don't want to see those bins on every street in my state. I don't want people to have accidents and go to trauma hospitals abroad. I came looking to find a few of these solutions preferred by people who know it. I think that our leaders should get into looking at the basics to make human beings comfortable where they live.
I'm making a national call. We need to move this country forward. And we the women have been relegated to the back door for too long. We have so many social issues in this country. country, it begins in the family. And we as women in this country, we are not entitled to speak in our own homes, but we are not entitled to inheritance and nobody is saying anything about it. So I want to appeal to all Nigerians, please let us come out and move this country forward. It's not just the governors, it's not just the bishops that are going to do it. It's everybody. Thank you.
And special salutation to the Jagaban Bogu, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, fellow Nigerians. I'm so excited about the topic of discussion today, talking about building our nation. But I am taken aback because in building a nation, you must practice democracy. And my definition of democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But what we have in Nigeria today as practiced is government of the greedy, by the greedy, and for the greedy. How can we build a nation when as a nation we are suffering in times of vicissitude and vacillation, in times of opprobrium and obloquy, in perilous times? For the first time in the history of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we have ministers of the Federal Republic that have been indicted in one form of report or the other, but they are still elegantly attired and cosmopolitan fashion, dressed in diamonds everywhere as they attend the Federal Executive Council meeting under the eyes, watchful eyes of an unparalleled president. That will not help us to build a nation. For the first time in the history of this country, we have a minister of petroleum that has been indicted by 4 reports. The Farouk Lawal report, the Haiti Mobile report, we have the native report that just stipulated clearly that 1.3 trillion have not been remitted to the Federation account. We had in that report that $2.3 billion was withdrawn from the JV Venture account without anybody's authorization, and it was posted straight to the headquarters of NNPC. And this same minister is still sitting and nothing is happening, no investigation, no removal. In this country, there was precedent. When Sunday Afolabi was the Minister of Internal Affairs, immediately he got himself involved in the national ID card scam, he was removed. When Fabian Osuji was Minister of Education, he got himself involved and he was removed. May the soul of Yaradua of blessed memory rest in peace. Amen. When the former Minister of Health, Professor Great, and the Minister of State for Health, Gabriel Atuku, were indicted for 10 million naira, they were removed. Today we have 4 reports that have indicted the Minister of Petroleum. During the Obasanjo's time, finally, we have 4 ministers in that ministry. The Minister of Petroleum, the Minister of State for Petroleum, Minister of Petroleum Gas, Minister of Petroleum Energy. We have Special Advisor to the President of Petroleum, Ridwan Nuhu and Doctor. Today, there is no Minister of State, there is no Special Advisor, there is no Special Assistant. All we have is a Prime Minister in the woman called Minister of Petroleum. We cannot keep quiet. We should not be talking of nation building until Nigerians decide to take our destiny by our hands. In an unjust society, silence is a crime. When we see these people in Kano, let us call them Barao. If you see them in Ogbomosho, call them Ole. If you see them in Enugu, call them Onyoshi. God bless Nigeria.
Sometimes ago, Ondo State was having its 30th anniversary, and I happened to be there. And the lecture that I was giving was the whole booklet. I still have the booklet, and it was the person of Chief Richard Akinjide that gave that lecture. That day he said that Nigeria's economy cannot be based on petroleum alone. For him, in the next 25 years, petroleum will dry up. If Nigeria is not looking for some other way out to sustain itself, it says we will die. That was what the statement. I have a hope, even though that lecture looked bleak for the nation. My hope is in the fact that it is the leadership that is inciting or bringing out this kind of topic. That means that time, there will be a rethink, and people in leadership who want to do the right thing. Today, Governor Aliyu Babangida had just espoused some of the reasons why the nation is in the state it is. And every time I attend lectures of this nation, I find people in governmental positions who have the tool to change things and turn things around for the better, giving good lectures. But those lectures never turn around to change our situation. I don't know how many of us travel by road. I don't have money, so I travel by road most of the time. You are going and you see Nigerians in church houses. You see Nigerians in, some of them are so ramshackle, it's not good for an animal to live. And yet, we have these leaders come at all times, give us beautiful lectures. Yet they have the tools, the key to unlock this nation and make us the greatest nation in the world. But nothing is happening. As a mother, I come here today to appeal to our leaders. Our leaders need to rethink. Our leaders need to look at us and have mercy on us. I am pained when I speak. Our leaders need to unlock the door that is keeping us backward. We are not a backward. God has not created Nigeria to be backward. Nigeria is a beautiful country. Nigeria is consistent of most hardworking young women and men. It is time for those of us who are in leadership positions, those who are in leadership positions, to begin to lock it. Don't keep it away, because if Nigerians cannot ask him, God Almighty will ask him.
Thank you. A punctuation mark or an intervention is from the floor, because we have to continue with the rest of the program. We still have some recognitions, but at this point, I invite the Honorable Minister of Information, Mr. Labaran Mako.
Your Excellencies, Executive Governors, Your Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, Your Lordship, Cardinal Onayekon, distinguished Nigerians, ladies and gentlemen. I've come to rejoice His Eminence the Sultan of Sokoto and my Bishop, Cardinal Onayekon, for the honor that is being bestowed upon them today. As their son, I join others in saying this is one honor that is well deserved. I believe these two have distinguished themselves in the service of this country, and their voices are very strong, calling for peace, calling for national solidarity, and calling for national development. We appreciate you, we rejoice with you, and we are really grateful to God for the opportunity He has given you and many of our leaders to serve this country. I have not come here to respond to anybody's opinion or lectures. Nigeria is a very, very large country of 167 million people, and our country is known for vibrancy, is known for the strength in national discourse, is known for our uncombative attitude and how we discuss with one another. And that is indeed the strength of Nigeria. And I also believe that when you have these opinions expressed in a gathering like this, it shows the vibrancy of our country, and it also shows the strength of our democracy. In some countries, people can't even make an opinion known. And I think that this is good for our country. I do not believe that those who criticize government are government enemies. No. It is our country, and we will work it out together.
There is an issue that I believe, Your Eminence, Your Excellencies, my brothers and sisters, that we need to emphasize. All of us who are in government today will live one day. Nobody is in government forever. Government is for everybody. It's like a market. You go in the morning, you leave in the afternoon. You go in the afternoon, you leave in the evening, and some are preparing to come the next day. So it's a platform for everybody. But I think one thing that I have noticed with my own little service in government and before now as a reporter is that there is an important aspect of our national life that has collapsed. And I think that is values. What do we believe in now? What do our children believe in? What do we tell them when they are growing up? I believe some of us, I can speak for myself, I am convinced that I have been where I have been, and I've been guided more by what my parents taught me as a child. They trained me to work hard, not to steal, not to lie, not to deceive people, not to say things simply because you want to say them. In addition to this, when I was a young boy in the village, we didn't have all the material comforts. We would never drop anything in the presence of my village and it would be stolen. If anything gets missing and masquerades come out, the following day to be there. These people are not rich, but they have something that rich people don't have. They had values and strong love of life. I have never had anybody killed. And in my village as a young boy, I couldn't even say that this is a dead body. Because life was such a mystery around it. So we grew up with the love of life, and we grew up with the fear of life, and we grew up with the love of each other. And I think these things have collapsed partly because we are not paying attention to details today. And I believe that this country can go much better. And as I move around this country, sometimes I go to villages that don't have anything that you will build up in modern times. But the thing I take from them, the wisdom I get, the knowledge I get, the understanding they give me, their belief in this nation is very, very strong. Very, very, very strong. I think there is a lot we can learn from these people that we always look down upon. If we can return back to those values, and they're in each of our cultures, if we can go back and emphasize them, in addition to our many religions now, and we really believe in them, I believe Nigeria will definitely be a better place. All the issues raised here.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am here to present to you a young female Nigerian born 21 years ago to a family of both parents, civil servants from Gombe State. Her name is Mary Ann Juma. May we please put our hands together for Mary Ann Juma. May I have Mary Ann Juma? Please come out for us.
Don't go beyond this. Don't go beyond this. Come down. Take it easy. Come down. It's a long-range camera you have. It doesn't go cropped to your mouth before you come down.
Thank you. May I
We'll have the Paralympians on to the stage, please, as I invite.
World record in the women's 48 kilogram category. While Oyema, age 30, grabbed a gold medal while setting another record. Joy Anao Lapo, who won. big round of applause, please, to these heroes and the inspiration of Nigeria. Thank you.
Go ahead. Cut your head.
She is a lady, she should be encouraged. Please put your hands together for her. Thank you.
Big round of applause for leadership for Honeywell, please. A big round of applause. Nick Wright, that I'm sure many of you read every Thursdays at the back of leadership. Mr. Larry Babale, to come and give the award, please. To give the award to Chance.
Maga, I will arrest you.
Thank you and congratulations.
Look here. Look here.
Next on the list, the public officer of the year.
Thank you, congratulations. We are urged to speed up the process of the presentation in this set of categories that they faithfully arrest the award this afternoon. May I invite the former chairman of the EFCC, Madam Nuhu Ribadu, to do all the honors of making this presentation. Thank you very much. Congratulations, FRSC.
It's okay, keep fine. Oh yeah, give us. Don't look at the cup. Look up, madam.
Business promotion in July in London is widely reported to be paying off already, and for her relentless exertions to put Nigeria on the global industrial map, Ms. Evelyn Ndali Okutu is Leadership CEO of the Year 2012. May we graciously Anthony Aleo Dokwesi, the Leadership Business Person of the Year 2012. He has established himself as a media guru to expand Nigeria in Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. This year alone, he opened 5 new radio and television stations, including one in Gombe, where even the president is to visit, and deployed new equipment to other states in a patriotic drive to keep citizens informed and engaged. For his dogged and selfless exploits, in spite of the huge obstacles of doing business in Nigeria, High Chief Raymond Aleo Dokwesi is the Leadership Business Person of the year 2012. We have a very special honor and privilege to invite another elder statesman, a veteran in the journalism profession.
Bro, even where I did, I entered and enter my shot. Bro, they will arrest you.
Salut, come here.
Raufu Mohammed in the country. I have the very special honor and privilege to invite His Royal Majesty the Sheikh of Borno to do all the honor of making this presentation to the leadership politician of the year 2012, the Royal Majesty.
This week.
Fabio CON. The son of Chief Obota Fabio and Madam Lucy Obot Fabio of Kana, Ibarumtwen in Esenun local government area, Governor Godswill Fabio was born on December 9, 1962. He lost his father early in life, but was raised by his mother, who inculcated in him the values of hard work, discipline, and honesty.
Continue, forget about them.
With this man's support, he defeated 57 aspirants in the hotly contested primary election to emerge the candidate of the People's Democratic Party in 2006. On April 24, 2007, he was elected governor, and in 2011, he was re-elected governor after running a campaign anchored on the same slogan, "Let God's will be done again." He's received many awards and many honors. Man of the Year 2011 Sun Newspapers, Best Governor in Nigeria and Outstanding Human Grant 2010, Man of the Year 2010, Governor of the Year 2010 Nigerian Tribune, Award of Excellence for Outstanding Performance 2010 Nigeria Union of Journalists, Nigeria's Emerging Tiger 2009, these are newspapers, Man of the Year 2009 Daily Independent Newspapers, Man of the Year 2009 National Daily Newspaper, 2008 Most Outstanding Governor in Nigeria South South. He's been the Best Governor in Infrastructure. He's been Excellency Award as Best Governor from South South. He has also received the Nehemiah Award of the African Church and several other honors from other countries. He is the recipient of over 30 with great passion for the underprivileged and for service to the community. His Excellency, Governor Godswill Obot Akpabio's sojourn through life appears to have been preordained and conditioned for leadership and impact. He has constructed a brand new state-of-the-art Governor's Lodge. He has constructed one of West Africa's first digital library, the Ibom E-Library, an implementation of free healthcare program for children 5 years and under, expected mothers and the elderly, the initiation and completion of 3.7 kilometers underground drainage project using pipe jacking drilling technology in Uyo, construction of 5 new general hospitals and a specialist hospital of international standards, completion of Ibom Power Plant project, construction of gas processing plant, Ibom gas plant, etc., 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 etc. May I invite distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Etsunupe, Alhaji Yahya Abubakar, to please oblige us most graciously by presenting the award to the leadership Governor of the Year, His Excellency Dr. Akpabio. In a year when religious turmoil deteriorated to a frightening new level, we may resume our seats. We may resume our seats, please. Thank you. Thank you. In a year when religious turmoil deteriorated to a frightening new level and a number of religious leaders lost their heads, Sultan Abubakar III and John Cardinal Onoyekon emerged as powerful moderating voices that fundamentally prevented the country from toppling over by their words, by their actions, by their gestures and comportment. They reminded us of what leadership really means, and for deploying their voices of restraint at crucial moments to keep the country, the nation's fragile peace. These soldiers of faith are the leadership persons of the year 2012. And the same, I must add this to this citation this afternoon, that both the Sultan and the Cardinal were nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, but they both consider this award more important than even that nomination. Could we put our hands together for these distinguished Nigerians, great minds who are the leadership persons of the year 2012. And because of the special honor that they have done to Nigeria and Nigerians, I have the very special privilege and pleasure to invite elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark, accompanied by Governor Richard Sokorocha, the chairman of this occasion, accompanied by Chief Godswill Akpabio, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, and the chief servant, the governor of Niger State, Muazu Babangida Aliyu, to do us the joint honor of making the presentation to the leadership persons of the year 2012.
If you like, go back. To work together.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and congratulations, leadership persons of the year. But we think it's also meet and proper that we hear from the award recipients. I have the very special privilege and pleasure to invite first Alhaji Love.
What has earned us these awards. Let me also use this opportunity to commend leadership newspapers, in particular and the entire irrepressible Nigerian media in general, for living up to the role that the Constitution of the country prescribes for them. You, the media, are the heroes of our democracy. Permit me also to thank immensely the political class here today, in particular the APC family. Because as dignified as we may be, I think this country will not be what it is today without the heroic struggles of this class. Leadership newspaper has, in so short lifespan, established itself as a voice of the masses and a champion of freedom of expression. This has not come without a price. Events of the past few days have shown that in trying to play the watchdog role, the Nigerian media face tough times ahead and must remain vigilant. Let me give a few instances. The newspaper that is following us today has recently been subjected to the kind of treatment one would have expected in a country under a dictatorship. 4 journalists were whisked away by the police and held captive with the caveat they will let them go only if they reveal the source of their story, which is against the ethics of their profession. I was informed last night that 2 of these journalists were still in detention as of press time. By the way, one wonders why the authorities are interested in the source of the story that they have earlier given a lie. Anyway, as I was saying, 2 of the leadership journalists are still in detention today. On December 24, 2012, 2 journalists of the Kaduna-based and Mizan Hausa language newspaper were arrested just Gestapo style and whisked up to Abuja. Their crime was for reporting an alleged extrajudicial killing of innocent citizens. It took many days before they were released. Last Friday, the Kaduna-based Liberty Radio was fined 2 million naira over a phone-in program, during which the caller suggested that the Kaduna State should have spent the 150 million naira earmarked for hosting the Minister of Information's Good Governance Tour on more meaningful programs for the people of the state. Finally, it has been reported that the Nigerian government has banned the airing and poverty in Nigeria because it was deemed highly provocative and likely to incite or encourage public disorder and undermine national security. These are just a few examples of what seems to be a rising assault on press freedom under the present administration. This assault on press freedom will surely get worse in the days to come, as the media, in playing its watchdog role, will increasingly clash with those bent on muzzling the press. My party, the Action Congress of Nigeria, strongly condemns this onslaught on the freedom of the press. It is dangerous for the survival of our democracy. That is because, in the words of the woman popularly referred to as the mother of Philippine democracy, Corazon Aquino, freedom of expression, especially freedom of the press, is necessary ingredient for popular participation in the decisions and actions of government. And popular participation is the essence of our democracy. We therefore call on the federal government to immediately put a stop to the harassment of journalists for no other reason than for carrying out their constitutional duties. We remind those who think they can silence the media to think again and be guided by history. No government in Nigeria, whether in Kaki or Agbada, has ever been able to silence the courageous Nigerian press. Sadly, the media is not the only target in this well-choreographed onslaught against the freedom of expression. Attempts are being made daily to muzzle the voice of the opposition. Sustained media attacks, as well as rude and uncouth language, have been employed against us as we continue to play our role as the opposition party. We are being daily pilloried by barely credible government spokesmen for daring to criticize the government. They say we are destructive and that we offer no helping hand to the government, as see as our business to spoon-feed an incompetent government and help them to pardon the affairs of the state. It's not even our business to work for the success of any ruling government. Our loyalty is to the country not the government in power. Spokesmen for the government are unable to fault us. In fact, have resulted in name-calling and downright abuse. This is uncivilized and unacceptable. Let me be clear on this, however. No amount of insults, flip your nose, threats, issues against us, or attempts to distort what we stand for will cut us into submission. There can be no true democracy without a direct opposition. And in playing our role, we will continue to be guided by the highest ideals of democratic practice and the best practices of democratic opposition. And for those who would rather silence the word opposition, let me remind them of what the former Prime Minister said. No government can long be sitting without a formidable opposition. Once again, I thank leadership and everybody for honoring us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please, let's give the applause going. Thank you. Thank you. Leadership Politician of the Year, Alhaji Lai Muhammad. Thank you very much. We will now invite the response of the Leadership Governor of the Year, Obam Gospel Akpabio, Governor of Akwa Ibom State of Nigeria. And the brass band is from the Government House in Akwa Ibom State.
Your Excellencies, especially my two brothers, Governor Rochas Okorocha and Governor Aliyu Babangida, the Chief Servant, your Excellencies, the Sultan of Sokoto, our dear brother, and Cardinal Onaikom, let me respect the existing protocols because of time. I've been directed to make a response for just 2 to 3 minutes. I want to thank the Leadership newspaper for recognizing me today. And as usual, I want to dedicate the award just given to me as Governor of the year 2012 by this medium to the good people of Akwa Ibom State and gave me the mandate to run the affairs, and also to the People's Democratic Party that gave me the vehicle that I brought to Government House. Expectedly, I will not respond to most of the issues here, but let me also congratulate the Leadership newspaper for the kind of awardees selected. Very, very heavy scrutiny, very highly commended, and very spiritual. I sat down here and I was watching the entire event, and the significance hit me very strongly that this is a unity gathering, that this is a gathering of love, that this is a Nigerian gathering, and that this is how Nigeria should be. The recognition given to the Cardinal and the Sultan clearly show that it is time for us to come together. The two religions, Islam and Christianity, should come together. You can see the friendship exhibited by our two leaders of the two faiths. You can see the cordiality. And I think if we, the followers of the two religions, should follow our leaders, Nigeria will be in peace. This is where I really commend Leadership newspapers. When I was sitting down there, somebody sent a text to the chairman of Leadership newspapers and said, why is it that speaker after speaker keeps blaming your company, your newspaper leadership for the woes of Nigeria. What has your company done against Nigeria? And I think the person did not understand that leadership did not mean leadership newspaper. So I told him to say, you are now blaming leadership. I think we should change it. We should be a little bit, we should be sincere. Why I'm mentioning this is that leadership did not start today. Nigeria was born in 1960. The problems we are seeing today, the foundation was from past leadership. That's the truth. And if you want, when we talk about last year. So I think what has happened is that it has been a culmination of failures on the part of leadership that led us to where we are now. What does that now mean? It means that every one of us must be up and doing. In any endeavor we find ourselves in leadership position, we must do our best to change that place for the better. And I want to disagree strongly with my brother, the chairman of education, when he said it is the job of leadership to solve security situation of the country. No, it is the business of all of us. We cannot politicize insecurity. We cannot. We must realize that we must be our brother's keeper. The parents at home must teach the child not to steal and not to kill. Because when you eliminate corruption from home, through moral teaching, and then of course you eliminate violence in the society, through the same way, through the, of course, either Christian or Muslim virtues, automatically you are helping the society. So every one of us has a role to play in bringing about security. Even the security forces cannot operate unless they are given the right information. This is where I think we must all play a role. We cannot all blame leadership, and by implication of leadership newspaper. We cannot continue to blame leadership alone for what is happening today. Well, I don't want to comment on the issues raised by my fellow Wadi, Lai Mohammed. I recall one day I was passing through one of my governments, and I saw a newspaper and they wrote the governor probably arrested in London with $70 million. And I rushed to look at it, and I stopped, I bought the paper. I was on my way, and somebody said, another person shouted, "This is a lie." And I said, take it easy before you start making mistakes. Because sometimes when I release some fantastic headline, they say it's a lie. It's a lie. I said, who is saying? They say it's lie. I said, which lie? Sometimes they say lie, Mohammed. I said, no, the man does not lie. His name is only lie. So I want to tell you that even before leadership newspaper gave me the award, I was the first to comment my brother Lai Mohammed. I met him in Lagos, and I said, even though they always been lying, have to lie. No, the quick response that normally gives to issues of national discourse clearly stand you out as a proactive politician. That's why I commend him for becoming the politician of the year. I salute him for that. But on the whole, I must also let you know that it is not every leader that is not a visionary. And of course, my standing here today is evidence of the fact that even the entirety of the country recognizes something good. I don't want to go into details, but I must tell you that when I came here, I felt very elated that yes, indeed, things are changing. So, what is my message for rebuilding Nigeria? My message on this occasion, in order for us to rebuild Nigeria, is that we must take it holistically. We must not look at only one section. We must rebuild Nigeria from even the spiritual realm. That is why our leaders are recognized. And through them, we will follow their teachings. We must also rebuild Nigeria through infrastructure. We must rebuild Nigeria through our contributions in our various endeavors. And we must rebuild Nigeria by rebuilding the media. And how can we do this? We must encourage responsible journalism. We must also allow, in fact, let me put it this way. For us to ensure credibility in reporting, we must not, if you look at a newspaper or a media house, if 99% of what we churn out to the public is negative, after 1 year's assessment, then it means there is something wrong, that we are not rebuilding Nigeria. We are not balancing the story. You must attempt to balance the story so that you give a clear perspective so that Nigerians will not be misled. This is my personal opinion. I will not support mustering of the press. I will not support anything that has to do with gagging the press. And I must tell you that it was also the journalists that brought about the current democracy we are enjoying. And some of them did so through a lot of struggle, and sometimes they sacrificed their lives to see this democracy come about. What that means is that the journalists must also do everything to preserve the democracy they brought about. So we must balance the story, and that is why we are starting. Look at this occasion today. We have started the rebuilding of the media and the rebuilding of Nigeria. How else do I have been commended? Somebody would have said, oh, it doesn't belong to the incoming APC if it survives, because we had to go for Panadol because of the APC to be outdated. But then people have said it's not a progressive. That's why we are not recognized. We are recognized from the People's Democratic Party, and clearly shows that, yes, indeed, things are changing. So we must rebuild Nigeria by also rebuilding the media. It's very important. Finally, I was watching CNN the other day, and somebody, an Egyptian came out and was shouting and said that he went to Egypt, that he was shocked that the new government, President Moshe, I don't know what his name is, Moshe, that he has revived 150 factories, by implication 150 production units in Egypt. But nobody is saying about it, because the media continue to show only the protests, only the aspect of protests, and nobody knows that things are happening, that jobs are being created in Egypt. So what will I say? I'm saying now that we must also look at the good things that government at various levels, government, whether federal, state, or local, any good thing we are doing, the media should also project it. It will give confidence to our children. The youth capacity are looking for jobs. If we are creating a job, we must also be brought out that government is doing something good. No matter how small it is, it doesn't mean that when you project government in good light, in any good action, that you are indirectly selling your conscience, or people are not going to buy your paper, or they are going to say, no, that paper has been bought. No, it only means that you are rebuilding the image of journalism. You are bringing integrity, you are bringing credibility to bear, and our collective actions will change this country. I'll give you an example. We must not only be hearers of the words, we must be doers of the words. I'm standing here because I'm a doer of the words. This is very important. For us to unite this country, we must accept every religion. We must accept our brothers no matter the color of their skin, no matter the languages. As for 6 years, my ADC, for instance, whom I believe I've empowered and have touched, is from Bauchi in Nazareth. It's not from Akwa Ibom. My chief security officer is from Kano. My audit is from Kaduna State. How many governors in other states of the Federation can also post like that? Come to my government house in Akwa Ibom and you see all Nigerians there. My free and compulsory education policy is open to all Nigerian children who are resident in Akwa Ibom State. And when I attempted to give small loans to the Christians in my state, as I gave money to the Christian population through Christian Association of Nigeria, I also gave money to the Muslim population to give us more loans to the Muslim population within my state. And this can be confirmed. My free medical services is open to all pregnant women in Akwa Ibom, irrespective of their tribe and wherever they come from. And that's the same way I try to encourage people in terms of employment opportunities. And even when I'm assisting people, I assist across the country. It is not a day to talk about my glory, but I'm bringing a point home that since I went to Jigawa, the area of Gazame is there, I built a hostel for 280 children in Gazame Polytechnic. I have Polytechnic Adamo Federal Polytechnic in Gazame in Jigawa State. That's not what I will say. I have done that across the country in many places. I did those things in order to unite Nigeria. Because my foundation from the age of 10 was to be a Nigerian. That was why I went to Unity College, Federal Government College. It is important for every Nigerian to begin to show up wherever you are. And that way we can rebuild Nigeria. May God bless you. I thank you for your work.
Thank you very much. Our governor of the year, speaking to the team.
I like to see this man and you see document. Sorry, sir. No, sorry, sir. You didn't get it.
Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite the group, the managing director, leadership group of newspapers, Mr. Azul Isekwe.
Something that I thought might be useful for this occasion. I came across a vote of thanks that was proposed by who lent us his car. I am most grateful to my boss for approving the loan I used for the wedding. Big thanks to the committee of friends for the appeal fund that they raised. Also thanks to my brother's wife. Thank you for lending us your wedding gown. I'm grateful to the cake designer for the cake. And I said earlier, I will return the cake as agreed as soon as this wedding is over. Special thanks to my friends who brought food from their homes to help me feed all of you. Please, for those who were served food, good luck. And for those who didn't get any, well, we'll make it up to you in a very short time when our children will be dedicated. Very big thanks to my parents for bringing the village cultural band to supply music. Not forgetting the church marriage committee. Thank you for persuading my wife to marry me. Appreciation to the married men in the church for rushing me into this marriage. The women are not left out. Thank you Lord for teaching my wife how to dance. To the youths, thank you for sweeping and decorating the venue with palm fronds. I'm also grateful to my teenage friends who helped to provide Zobo drink. Well, I wish you all safe journey and pray that you don't experience what I have suffered during the wedding. Now I will return to the last part of the vote of thanks. On behalf of I, on behalf of the leadership group, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all of you who have made it to today's event and who have given us an experience far different from what this group experienced on this wedding day. I must mention our deep sense of gratitude and appreciation for all our awardees, from the Sultan and the Cardinal to the Paralympics, to the Paralympians and the young persons, for their extraordinary works and for their role in rebuilding Nigeria. May grace, in greater measure, continue to abound to you all. Nigeria is knocking on 53 as a nation and approaching 100 as a single administrative unit. Yet it seems to me, day in, day out, that those upon whose shoulders the task of rebuilding Nigeria falls, first don't appear to leave it down that the world is not just leaving us behind or laughing at us. Something worse is happening. We are being ignored, and that, I assure you, is worse than being laughed at. But when I look around here today, when I look at this auditorium today, my hope is renewed. May the good works which you have all done, and which has been acknowledged today, which has been celebrated and rewarded, may it continue until it reaches the critical mass and momentum which we desperately need to bring forth a new dawn. As you go today, please remember, among others, our friends, Mr. Tony Amokeldo and Mr. Chibuzo Ukaibu, two journalists with leadership newspapers who are currently being detained by the police, apparently on the orders of the organ at the top, for doing nothing other than doing their job of rebuilding this good country. I cannot thank everyone enough for their involvement and their willingness to take on the completion of these tasks beyond their comfort zones. I'm thinking especially of our partners and our sponsors and people who have been responsible for making this event a tremendous success, which you might agree with me that it has turned out to be. I on behalf of leadership, thank all those members of the technical crew, members of the catering department, the press, especially Dark Communications, and all members and family of the press. May God help us all and grant us more grace as we continue to do the hard work of serving Him and country. Thank you very much for coming.
May I invite